I quickly learned, Jack, over the years that most people don't understand how to generate wealth. They don't understand assets or money or time, which are all tools that can be used to build wealth. And if you're a young man, okay, and I have kids that are in the working world, and I would give them the same advice. Get started. Get started now. Get started now. It's never too late to get started.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can blow things up at any time you want to and start over. And most people aren't willing to cut off close relationships with friends or family or leave a job when they need to, when it's so clear that they need to that it's holding them back.
Let's open the gates here to the world. Somebody's 45 and still haven't figured that out. How do they go about this today when these kind of grooves are deep in their psyche?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can blow things up at any time you want to and start over. And not even have to start over necessarily, because you always have your wisdom and experiences. But here's the thing. Everything comes down to a decision. And people make this way more complicated than it has to be. Decisions cause and create your future. So if you made decisions in the past based on experiences that you've been through, all you got to do is make a new decision. And what I mean by that is getting really clear on what you want. You know, this life is short. You know, I know it seems long sometimes, but life is short. And so if this life is short, by the way, I said this the other day on another show. I was like, one of the biggest things for me that keeps me driving is that I want to race. Actually, we all want to race. Okay. Early on, prior to conception, where we were like little tadpoles. I'm not going to say that we were little tadpoles, and we won a race out of trillions of other tadpoles. Okay. And we won that race. Now, if that's the case, why would we like waste the opportunity that winning that race gave us? So when you come to think of it, really what you need to do, I don't care what age you are or how like stuck you are in your beliefs. All you need to do is change a decision to change a belief. And I have a formula that I always use that makes so much sense, and it comes to quantum physics and neuroscience. When you make a decision and you're clear on it, you set an intention. And intention gives your attention direction. Now, Jack, we only have so many attention units to spend on things. And as we're sitting here right now, there's probably trillions of things that we could be paying attention to, but we just don't have the ability to pay attention to all of them. So we have so many attention units, we're paying attention to certain things. And then our attention needs direction. Your intention gives your attention direction. Now, if you don't direct your attention, somebody else will get it. There's a lot of distractions in the world, especially coming out of an election cycle that we just came out of, whether it's the media, music, entertainment programming, whatever. Our attention will be directed by something. It's up to us to take our intention and use that to direct our attention. Now, when you take your attention and it's focused now and directed, it'll start paying attention to the things that will validate your intention or / decision. And when that happens, you start to cause and create things in your world and have your own little world that you're living in inside this big universe that we're living in. You can create your own little universe. So intention gives your attention direction, and that intention is stemmed from a clear vision. And then you start validating that intention through your paying attention. And then you start causing and creating all these things around you. And it's important to recognize that you're the one being able to do this. It's not just happenstance. It's not luck. And it happens with good and bad. The bad stuff that's happening is because your attention is paying attention to the wrong things.
So intention creates attention.
Directs intention.
Directs attention. Now the thing is, that point though, there's something missing. At that point, you got to take action on those hints, right?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, you know, there's 4 areas you got to focus on. Once this starts to take place, it's thoughts, words, actions, and the people you keep in your environment. So once you establish an intention, this helps keep chaos and confusion out, because you cannot be successful with chaos and confusion. It's impossible. So in order to keep chaos and confusion out, once you set your intention and your attention's directed, you're going to start paying attention now to what your thoughts are. If you have a thought that does not align with where you want to go and it's not going towards it, you get rid of it. You change it. If it's destroying things or if it's taking you away from your mission, you end it, period. Psst, end it and change it to a thought that goes towards it. Your words, how are you speaking? You're paying attention to, how am I speaking? Am I cursing too much? Am I complaining a lot? Am I negative when I talk? Am I doing a lot of, what do they call it? Negative self-talk. You start paying attention to that. Okay, now I'm realizing this. I'm assessing this. Change it. Now, what am I doing every day? My habits or lack of habits, are they going towards the mission and intention or away from it? Are they building where I'm trying to build to, or destroying it? And now you know, okay, you can assess these things and make changes. And then finally, your environment. This is one of the most empowering things ever, is to be able to exit relationships, confront people in your life, in your environment that aren't going towards your mission or your dreams. Because otherwise the people that are around you will actually steal from you. They'll actually steal your dreams from you if you allow it. And most people aren't willing to cut off close relationships with friends or family, or leave a job when they need to, when it's so clear that they need to, that it's holding them back. And if you have to be willing to do that. Now, let's say you have a close friend or a family member, or even a spouse, and you want to achieve something, and it's set inside of you. You just know you're here for this. And you start going towards it, or pursuing it, or talking about it. And you have, let's say your spouse is negative towards it. They're discouraging you. That is an episode that you do not want to live out by not confronting that and having a respectful conversation, saying, this really means a lot to me. I hope you would understand that, but this is something I just feel inside that I need to accomplish or go after. And I would request respectfully your support. And if you can't confront that and have that conversation, it's going to build up resent, fights, conflict, and you're not going to go to your dreams, because it's going to be like you're trying to take off with a plane, but there's a car tethered to the back of the plane. So thoughts, words, actions, and environment. Those 4 areas lead you to know, okay, assess towards or away, building or destroying. And as long as you are able to confront when it's not going in the direction you want it to go as quickly as possible, as long as you do that, you're going to be suppressed.
And that is a key part about that, because a lot of people out there are, and I'm including myself, I had to work on that for a long time, are very conflict averse.
Yeah, you being conflict averse, it doesn't make conflicts go away. So you're gonna have to confront things eventually anyway. You're forced to at some point, right? You might as well do it before you're forced to, because the more you wait till you're forced to, the pressure builds up. And when the pressure builds up, eventually you think about a tire or a balloon, eventually it's going to pop. Do you want to get to that point and deal with the confrontation or the conflict, or do you want to deal with it when there's no pressure? And that's the choice we all have. So you're going to have to do it anyway. Why would you wait?
And another thing is actually happening when you go through these phases. Like when I came to the US, when we started our business, when everything, all my established network of people, they were like looking at me like weird, like, because none of my family members have a background in running your own business and so on. So if you have that, breaking out of that, starting your own business is all something that people where you're going to have these kind of like rubbing against each other moments, or this conflict moments, even though it's not necessarily conflict. There's people more like they want to make sure you do the right thing. And wasn't what you're doing so far nice and safe, right? Isn't that what they want to keep you safe, but safety is what's killing you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I quickly learned, Jack, over the years that most people don't understand how to generate wealth. They don't understand assets or money or time, which are all tools that can be used to build wealth. And most of all, Jack, people did not know about investing in medical properties like we do. So I was determined that I was going to be the go-to expert in medical real estate. That was something I really wanted to do, to provide that service to people. And as we went on this journey, acquiring a large portfolio of medical properties, I was shocked and surprised of how many doctors I met never knew about you can invest in medical properties. And so once I wrote the book, I knew I needed to take it another step further and teach people how to build a hard asset empire. And that's what it's about. And so people say, well, what is a hard asset empire? Because it's more than just commercial real estate, what I do. I'm involved in other things as well. It's a place where someone can generate and retain and defend and compound their wealth. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to create this fortress for everyone that they can build and keep building on. And so I create a vehicle.
Retain. Give me the 3 things again. You said, like,
there we go, right? So here's what a hard asset empire, I'll repeat it again. It's a place where someone can generate, retain, defend, and compound their wealth.
All right, so give us some tactical things. So how does one start? Like how does one start with this? If you have, let's say it's a young person starting out in life and has no background in it, no silver spoon, no nothing, just perhaps got a college degree, perhaps even as a student debt, and just getting started in life. How do they go about this?
Pick a hard asset that you're passionate about, that you like, that maybe, whether it's conservative, you want to be aggressive. And if you're a young man, okay, and I have kids that are in the working world, and I would give them the same advice. I would say every month, let's say you have a job, okay, you're young, you're working for an employer, take a portion of your paycheck every month, be conservative, and put a portion of that disposable income you have, whether it's $50 or $100, and start investing in hard assets. It could be you might want to invest in gold or silver. You might want to put some money in crypto. You might want to put some money in a bond. You might want to invest in a platform that can take real estate or commercial real estate. You might say, hey, I want to partner with someone that has capital like Ben Reinberg, and I want to go buy a property, and maybe he'll fund it and I'll run the property, or maybe I'll live there. Maybe it's a 2-unit, a 3-unit, which you can understand. And I'll live in one of the units. I'll manage the property and start building my hard asset empire. When you're younger, you got to be a little bit more creative. There's a lot of different ways to get involved. But I always tell people, live below your means. Don't spend everything you have. Take that beer money you're going out with your buddies and say to yourself, hey, maybe I could be a little bit more frugal and use that to start building assets. When you start young building assets, that's a key, because it gets you in the habit, Jack, of constantly putting away money and putting into hard assets. Hard assets are a great way to start building your empire. You get tax benefits on some hard assets, and you learn from experience. And if you want to be an entrepreneur and go out on your own, starting young is really important. And I started young, and there wasn't as much information out in the marketplace like there is now. And so I felt compelled, and I said, you know what? If I could take a young man or woman and get them higher in the learning curve, or even someone who's an investor of ours and they're extremely wealthy, they can use the blueprint and say, you know what? I want to restructure how I do things. I want to take his skills and help me grow my empire. So as a young man or anyone out there looking to grow your empire, start with hard assets and look at, what are you comfortable with? How much commitment can you make? And what do you want to do? So, for example, we have thousands of high net worth investors that invest in Alliance and our funds and our syndications all over the country. We own property. And investing passively is a great way to start your hard asset empire. So if you're young and you got a little money and you can invest with a sponsor like Alliance, that's another great way, because I always tell people, you get rewarded for focus in life. Okay. And investing in medical, and I gave my webinar today. I do a monthly webinar for people all over the world. And part of the conversation that came up today is investing with smart money. And so if you're a doctor, for example, and you're a heart surgeon, I'm not a heart surgeon. That's not my niche. My niche is, and one of our niches is investing in medical properties. So pick your niche, become the expert. And if you're going to invest passively because you're in a different profession, you're a professional or insurance broker, or you work for a large corporation, or whatever you do, you're an entrepreneur in the tech business, or whatever you do, you want to invest with smart money. And taking that knowledge is saying, I'm going to invest passively because it's a full-time commitment to invest in commercial real estate. You got to be deep in the water to create success. You got to have relationships. You got to be on the ball. You got to deal with problems and tenant improvements and leases and financing and your lenders and in different environments. It's
Tell me about it. Yeah.
It's a lot of work. So my advice is, if you want to get involved in hard assets, especially commercial real estate, invest passively, invest with a great sponsor, understand how they deal with challenges, and you'll start being able to create a future and build your hard asset empire.
Very, very true. Like it's the eternal thing. Like, live below your means, and then instead of going and blowing it, go invest that money into something that is actually going to be there in the future. Now, how about somebody that's already older? Like, if somebody's older and kind of had their come to Jesus moment, perhaps in their 50s, 60s. And by the way, we're at the same age. I'm actually finally somebody's on a podcast who's just probably a few months older than I am. I'm turning 55 this year. So, how does somebody catch up on if they feel like they're behind?
Well, it's a great question. And I'm sure people out there are listening and thinking about that, saying, Ben, well, I'm a lot older. I'm your age or a little bit younger. Get started. Get started now. Get started now. It's never too late to get started. And start thinking about, maybe you've never invested in commercial real estate. Maybe I got to call Alliance and say, hey, how do I get in the Alliance Medical Fund that's conservative, profitable investing with tax benefits? So start somewhere. Take capital. Start coming up with a plan. How do you secure the plan? You got to do some asset protection or some estate planning if you need to. If you have kids or a family, have you done that yet? What kind of insurance policies do you have? Do you need them? And start looking at your disposable income and your savings and say, how can I grow my asset base so maybe I don't have to work as hard? Maybe I want to retire in 10 years, wherever you're at. But it's never too late to start. I think the biggest misnomer with people is they say, I can't do it anymore, I'm too old. I just completely botched it and I should have started younger, and they start regretting. Instead of saying, you know what? People are living longer, Jack.
Yeah.
People are taking better care of themselves. And it's never too late. It's never too late because you're building a foundation not only for yourself and your immediate family, but also for future generations. So my advice to people is get started.